Hey everybody, I'm Todd and this is sweetTguitars. Thank you so much for stopping by the channel and welcome to my life. When we left off in the last 7 and 9 video, I was finishing up the body. We were getting the finish applied. I've continued to wipe Osmo on that body. I want to get one more coat on there before we call that ready. Here's my neck. As you can see, my fretboard's polished up to 3000 grit. My neck shaped, it's sanded up to 360 grit. I need to get the nut installed. We need to get our side dots in. I need to get the frets in. But before we can do any of that, actually we will probably install the side dots before we go any further, but we need to get this neck finished. And I've been trying to think about what I wanted to do for this neck. And to tell you the truth, I think what I'm going to do is go straight to Osmo extra thin wood wax on this neck. But what I'm going to do is take just a couple of drops of crimson amber stain shot in a small cup of Osmo extra thin wood wax, using that as finish, at least on the back of the guitar neck. On the front, I think what I'm going to do is follow the lead from the body. I think I'm going to stain this whole thing gold and then just go around this outside edge with a little brown. We'll fade all that in together and blend it nice and even. And we'll get somewhat of a burst created on the front of our headstock. This is a Maximum Guitar Works side dot drilling jig. This gives you the ability to use one of the 3 common side dot sizes: 2 millimeters, 3 millimeters, or 3/32. On this particular build, however, I'm going to use 2 different ones. What I've got is some brass tube right here, 3 millimeter outside diameter brass tube with a 1.5 inner diameter. I've got white mother of pearl in that size. We'll fill these dots so they match the front fret markers. On my 12th, instead of using 2 dots, I'm going to use one 4 millimeter outside diameter brass tube with a 3 millimeter inside diameter, which means this has a 0.5 millimeter thick wall. I think that's going to be pretty cool. I need to cut myself 9 pieces of this little brass tube right here, and then 1 of the 4 millimeter. But before we go there, I want to show you guys how I use this to mark up a neck for side dots. What we'll do is clamp this thing to the neck. We'll mark out the 9 locations that we want to use the 3 millimeter tube. Then I will move this and we'll center this in the 12th fret. Use the punch to mark out that location for that 1 dot. And we'll get our little mallet right here. And you want to barely hit this thing. You do not want to move the jig itself. That's all we needed to do. We'll have to file and sand these, and I honestly forgot about the side dot markers, you guys, which is why they're not installed yet, or I would not have polished this fretboard up to this level at this point. So here's my little bradawl. All right, so I don't know if you'll be able to see those dots. Yeah, you can see them. So there's my dots marked where they need to be. A brad point will sometimes chip out the side. So we're going to go with a split point drill bit. I got a 3.14. That will probably work. So we're going to load this thing up in the drill. I'm going to do these by hand. All right, they look nice and straight. Let's measure this other brass tubing that we're going to use for the 12th fret and find a drill bit for this one. External diameter is 3.99, so we need a 4mm 3.95. This one will work. All right, so let's cut ourselves some rounds. I've already got one of these done. This is by far the easiest way I've found to cut these things. Now, let's cut ourselves a piece of this 4mm tube. All right, perfect. I want to get a drill bit that will fit the inside diameter of that hole or thereabouts. And I just want to spin this drill bit by hand and make sure I don't have any burrs on the inside of this. We're going to use Star Bond super fast super glue for this. We're going to start down here, and we want super glue in that hole before the pearl goes in so it bonds the brass. This is by far my favorite look for fret markers as far as anything close to traditional anyway. I got this diamond file. I really like this for this process. Not too much downward pressure, because if you slip, you don't want to put a big gouge in the side of your fretboard or your neck. All right, so that's what we're going to look like for now. I've got some used 220 on this block. Once you see all the super glue gone, stop sanding with the 220, because we're going to go up through the grits here. We're going to sand this side too, just because. So that's what we look like now. And as you can see, that 12th fret's just a little larger. Very cool. I love this look on these fret markers. I've got my Eagle Abrasives interface pad right here. We're going to go to 360, and anywhere we touch with that 220, we need to get with this 360. And as we move up through these grits, that brass will get really super shiny. You want to pay really close attention to make sure you're getting all those file marks. As you can see, we're starting to get really shiny. I like it. Our fret markers are in, our side dots are in. I love that brass tube and pearl look. Our neck is super comfortable. So here's what I'm thinking about doing. I've never tried this before, but you guys know how I am. I'm not afraid to do something. I'll try anything twice. I may not have been in the right frame of mind the first time, you know. So what I've got here is some Osmo Extra Thin Wood Wax, product number 1101. So what I'm going to do is pour right at 4 ounces of this oil in this cup. So I've got some Crimson Stain Shots Amber. I'm going to start with 1 drop of this. Actually, we'll go 2. This is strong, strong color. Full bottle tinted oil. I don't want this over the top. I just want it to have a nice glow to it. That's what I'm really after. Look at that. I mean, you see how that's darkening that up, but it's also highlighting the hell out of that grain. That is so, so gorgeous, you guys. I am knocked out by this. So I owe Ben another thank you. He recommended that I do this. I have got some Victoria fabric dye that I mixed up yesterday. About 1/3 hot water. The rest of this is 91% isopropyl, and this is dye. So before I actually take this to the neck, we're going to take this piece of quarter sawn maple right here, and I'm going to make sure that it gives me the color I want. That's what they're calling gold, and I agree. I've also got some brown. I'm going to try that. This is medium brown. And if this works, you guys, this stuff was $3.49 a pack on eBay. This is medium brown. And that's not sanded, but that's medium brown. So let's dye this headstock. I don't think I'm going to use this brown on this particular thing. It's not dark enough for me. I don't want it on anything but the front of the headstock. Now that is some deep color right there, you guys. What we're going to do is I'm going to make myself a tool out of this rag. We're going to take some Crimson Stunning Spirit Stain brown, go around this outside edge. I'm going to start off with some denatured alcohol on this rag right here. We'll saturate this rag just a little. Then I'm going to go to this honey, just like that. And what this is going to do, or what it should do, is blend this in. And I want to keep adding this brown and pulling that back in with that gold rag until this honey starts to kind of help pull this brown into that gold. I want this to be subtly darker around the outside edge, and we're absolutely achieving exactly what I want. So that's what we're looking like. I love it. I absolutely love it. I think it looks nice and rustic. Wes, I'm sorry about that black streak in the canary. It was nothing I did. It's just the way the wood is. I am happy now that I've got some $3.49 dye that I found that actually works. They make 59 colors of that stuff too, you guys, so pretty incredible. You want to kind of keep wiping the extra thin wood wax on until the wood won't take any more of it. You want to make certain that you have got a protective layer. And even though we're top coating this with hard wax oil, this extra protection that we're giving this neck, that's what really matters. Look at that figure. I had no idea this maple even had any figure in it. This is what we've got. That is just phenomenally beautiful, I think. And the back of this neck with that figure, that is just wicked. I am so happy that you guys have decided to stick around, to continue to visit the channel. I think I'm getting pretty close to 1,400 subscribers. I would really love to have 1,500 by the end of the year if that's possible. It is November the 14th today, so I think it should be possible. So you guys tell your friends to come and click that subscribe button at sweetTguitars. It's more of a, it's not a money thing with me, you guys. It's about sharing my knowledge, and it makes me feel good to grow the channel. That's all it's about for me. What I want to do is grow this channel, have more of you guys that I can lend my knowledge to, and that I can learn from you guys as well. Tonight is Tuesday, November the 15th. We're back in the shop. All right, so I'm gonna gently steel wool this neck. And the only reason I'm using steel wool on this is to make sure that my next coat of oil has a nice bond. We just used this last night, but I always like to start by stirring it up a little. All right, that's probably gonna be enough for us to do this whole neck with. And I want a really saturating coat on the front of this headstock this time. Yeah, it's nice and stiff. Check that out, you guys. That neck is just stunning. You know, my fretboard's nice and shiny. All right, you guys, so we're back on track now. Here is 7 of 9. I love this guitar. I absolutely love it. It's super lightweight at this point. What I want to do before we go any further is mark out for our threaded metal inserts and our ferrules. We're going to take a center punch. We'll find the one that best fits those holes. Knowing that we've got a nice snug fit is going to also clean out those holes for us in case I've got any finish down in there. We got a nice tight neck fit. I am using 832 solid brass threaded metal inserts in the back of the neck, but I'm using stainless Allen head countersunk bolts, or machine screws if you want to call them that. The first thing we need to find out is the outside diameter of these threaded metal inserts. 6 millimeters exactly. Okay, we want to measure the inside diameter of where the threads are. And this is going to tell us what size drill bit we need to use. 5.01. I'm going to say a 5 millimeter drill bit. We also need to get a depth, and we'll make a black Sharpie mark on the outside of our drill bit. And we'll put a piece of tape around this for added measure and to give us just a little of that fan action that blows the dust away. No matter what we do, the Sharpie mark might get faint. It may even want to disappear on us. But the one thing that's true about the Sharpie is it's not gonna move. All right, that's our depth. That's our insert. Right here, I get these from Taylor Tools, and they come with a installer. This is vastly superior, in my opinion, to a wood screw. Using a threaded metal insert and an actual threaded machine bolt or screw is, to me, a no-brainer. There's two. Let's install these two inserts and dry fit our neck to our body to make sure these front two holes are going to be where they need to be. Or we'll put just a dab of super glue down in the hole. So now we got two installed where they need to be. And I can see both my inserts. We appear to be fine. Now that is nice. So that's what we got for a fit. Let's get these other two inserts drilled in. There we go. 4 inserts installed. Let's pop this neck back in our body one more time. There we go, you guys. We're going to bend and measure out some fret wire here. This is Centom's 2.3 millimeter wide, 1.4 millimeter tall. So we're going to bend this fret wire using my homemade bending jig. And it bends them perfect. I bend them all to the same radius, which is about probably an 11 inch, I would say, maybe a 10. These are my new WIA fret end cutters. I have modified these on the spindle sander. You know, they're more close to a flush cut than what they were when they came to me. You want to cut parallel to the tang. .22, and we got a full length left over, which is plenty enough. You can do a 24 fret neck with it. We could go ahead and hammer these in, but first we need to chamfer these fret slots. 2 swipes is always enough. Let's clip our waste right off. I want to make sure there's either go in the floor or in the garbage can. I've got a couple of nicks in the fretboard where I hit it with the hammer last night. They're not bad, and it's not going to be that big of an issue to get them out of there. But before we do that, I want to file these fret ends down. And what I've got here is a crimson fret leveling file. I am going to use this to bevel these frets. This is a single cut file. I do not use it for fret leveling. I use a crimson leveling beam for that. I specifically bought this to bevel the edge of my frets with. I don't like using a fret beveling file because I think it cuts too great of an angle. Most of them are cut at 30 to 35 degrees. I really honestly like more like a 20 to 25 degree fret bevel. You can make a fret super comfortable at 25 degrees, I promise you. The first thing we're going to do is flat file these. All right, now that I know I'm level with the side of the fretboard, what we'll do now is we'll start to put our bevel in. I want to make sure all my frets look good. I'm just gradually increasing that bevel until we get to the level I want to be at. Let's go a little more. When I look down at the top of the fretboard and my neck is sitting flat like this, I want to barely be able to tell that there's a bevel on the side of my frets. And that's the way they are now. You can barely tell there's a bevel on there. Let's turn this over and do this side. All right, I'm going to turn this thing around so I can get these down here a little better. Now you want to inspect each individual fret to make sure you've got all the file marks gone. All right, let's get this side. Here's a crimson fret rocker, finest fret rocker you can buy. Crimson notch straight edge, finest straight edge you can buy. Although they have the upgraded version now, of course, that has the beveled edge. I got a slight bow in the middle. Very slight. Yeah. I got myself some new wedge-shaped Sharpies. I'm going to very carefully go down through here and catch my fret tops. All right. Used piece of 180. I'm going to go the center first. I see scratch on the top of every single fret, so that's a good thing. All right, I see scratch in the top of every fret. I got one little low spot right down here. I'm going to turn this over and move to the 320 side. That was 180 used we had on there to start with. All right. All right, we're good. All right, you guys, what I'm going to do now is go down through here. I'm going to take some thin star bond, and I've got a few of these frets that have just little spaces below those, and I'm going to fill that space. Then I'm going to take some rosewood dust and pack it in that slot. This is essential for a nice clean fretboard look on the side. On top of that, using this thin super glue like this, you get that wicking action, so it takes a little of that super glue down into the slot and fills that void underneath your fret. All right, let me clean up. We'll come back. We're gonna clean this fretboard up. I'll be right back. Hey you guys, we're back in the shop. Today is Saturday, November the 19th. I've been working on getting this fretboard polished back up to 3000 grit, where I screwed it up, nicking it with the hammer when I was putting these frets in. We are going to continue on that process. I've got a couple of more frets I want to get done, and I thought I would show this because I think this is a valuable bit of information. This is just a piece of a Bondo spreader that I've got a piece of 320 grit sandpaper wrapped around. I'm taking a piece of 600 grit Super Acrylics sanding film and wrapping it around that. That 320 gives this Super Acrylics Velcro side something to grip onto. And all I'm doing is taking the tip of this Bondo spreader and going back and forth with the grain. Wrapping it around this Bondo spreader lets me get really close up against that fret. And we're going to do this. This is 600 grit, like I said. We're going to go to 800, 1000, 1500, 2000, 2500, and 3000. Once we get up above 1500, the process will go pretty quickly. We're basically polishing to various levels of shinier at that point. I did some of this off camera and I started to think about it, and I was like, well, polishing a fretboard with the frets already on it is something some people may have an issue with. So I figured I would show the method that I figured out works best for me. And the reason I'm using a Bondo spreader instead of something like one of these little Veritas scrapers I've got right here is because this Bondo spreader conforms to the radius that I've already got sanded on the fretboard. It won't sand a flat into this fretboard. We're going to go 2000, 2500, 3000 real quick. Then I'm going to tape this fretboard up. We're going to crown and polish these frets. I'll get out my buffing machine, or we may just do it by hand with these wheels right here in the drill, and we'll polish these frets up. All right, you guys, we're back in the shop. Today is Sunday, November the 20th. Here's our neck for 7 of 9. What I want to get done before we wrap this video up, and I know this video is a long one, you guys. I apologize for that. This guitar has thrown me for a loop a couple of times. It took me longer than I thought to get done with this thing. So here's my body. And as you can see, I got a nice gloss finish on this thing. This body's got what I would refer to as a light relic finish to it. I could not get the soft maple to accept stain at the same rate all over the body. So I ended up thinking, okay, well, I'll lighten that up and use that as a feature. So that's what I've done. And I love the way it's turned out, you guys. I'm really happy with it. It's got an antique look and feel to it. So I ended up thinking to myself, why would I do anything else to this guitar? I love the way this looks. Let's get this fretboard taped up and get these frets polished. I know we need to wrap this video up. I have learned so much from this guitar. It's like doing the Astrolabe guitar. I learned so many lessons from that build, you guys. And that's what this is for me. It is an exploration into creativity, into my own creativity. And I'm trying to find my way in this, you know what I mean? It's not me looking to reinvent the wheel. It's me being original in my own mind and hoping that you guys enjoy that, you know? That's what it really is for me. It's that search for that first guitar design that I choose to say, this is a Sweet T guitar, you know? As you guys know, I'm about to start a collaboration build with Gio from Tornella Guitars. This is what is going to be the first of many collaborations between he and I. We may mix in another builder from time to time if anyone's interested in getting into that with us. I hope that brings growth to both of our channels. That's why we're doing this, to share our knowledge, not only with each other, but with you guys as well. So I'm really excited about that build, you guys. Plus, I've always wanted a Strat, a super nice, killer Strat. And I've never been able to afford to buy a Fender Custom Shop Strat. You know, I want a Strat that does not look like what everyone else has. And that's how I want my guitars to be that come out of my shop anyway. When you try unique things, or things that at least you have not done before, you're going to make mistakes. It just so happens I film those mistakes and share those with you guys because that's a part of my journey. You know, I want you guys to know that I'm a human being. I'm like anyone else when it comes down to it. I just want you guys to share my whole journey, not just the parts of it that bring positive reactions, but the parts that make me learn a hardcore lesson. Some of the hardest learned lessons are the ones that stick with you the best. That's kind of where I'm coming from, you guys. I'm going to continue to film my mistakes for as long as I am doing this, which will be for the rest of my life. I love doing this, you guys. I love making the videos. I love the communication with you guys. I love building guitars. You guys already know that. And speaking of building guitars, let's get back on this build. I'm sorry for going off on my tangent. You guys know how I am. All right, so you guys know, if you've watched the previous videos of me doing fret work, I like to use Carworks orange masking tape for this. It leaves no residue. The reason I like it, though, for the main part, is because it's thin. And you can double it over when you're doing your fold without it creating a huge hump in the fretboard. So how I like to start this is I want to tape up the side first, right below the bottom of my fret tang. All right, so there's the sides done. We're going to start to tape up the fretboard at this point. All right, you guys, one more piece, and we are on to the fret crowning process. Let's draw up these fret tops. As soon as we're through with this crowning, we're going to wrap this video up. All right, I have got myself a new Crimson fret crowning file. This is a Velour smooth cut. And although I am going to use this file to get my initial crown, I'm going to go back over this with the smooth cut file and finalize everything. You want about 1/2 millimeter line left is what you're after. Or that's what rule I tend to follow anyway. This is just a supreme file. You can tell it just by looking at it, how high precision this thing is. I mean, it's a really nice file. Good job, you guys at Crimson. This thing, I think I would prefer to do all the fret work with just this file as far as crowning goes. All right, so while my fretboard's still taped up, I'm going to grab my Crimson fret rubbers, this little piece of 320 grit sandpaper. I'm going to wrap this around my coarse fret rubber. I'm just mainly wanting to get the file marks out at this point. I'm going to take my Crimson fret end dressing file. I've also bought a Fret Guru file that I actually really like. There we go. All my file marks are gone. All right, you guys, I don't think they're going to get any shinier than that. I really don't. Let's take this tape off. I think we're ready to do that now. And I'll show you what I mean by getting this off in one piece if I can manage it. How about that? Nice gleaming shiny frets. My ends are dressed nice. All right, you guys, we're going to wrap this video up right here. One last look at this guitar. This is 7 of 9. As you can see, Osmo's done its usual fantastic job. Here's the back. Same nice gloss finish. The necks turned out so great. I love this guitar. I am so happy with this thing. I hope you guys love it too. Next Sunday's video will be the assembly. I'll get all the electronics put in here. We'll put strings on this thing. We'll do a play demo, and that's going to wrap up this build series. I know it took me a long time to build this guitar, you guys. I've hit some hiccups, as you guys know. I really appreciate all you guys making the positive comments that you've made about this guitar and everything else that I do here on the channel. That fuels me to go forward. I love that. And thank you guys so much for that. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to throw me a thumbs up if you feel so inclined. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about this build and everything else I got going here on the channel. Don't forget to keep your eyes open for the collaboration build I've got coming with Gio from Tornella Guitars. And as always, you guys, until the next video, peace and love.